All right, so let's get into Avalanche a little bit, and we're going to dive into Ava Labs, which is the initiative that is really starting to try to make the Web3 to Web2 to Web3 program happen very easily. A lot of what they've been trying to do has been really running up to what's happening right now in the space. So we wanted to kind of get an update from them. It's going to be a good one. Stick around for all of it. You guys are going to like it. My name is Paul Barrow. Welcome back into Tech Path. Joining me today is Mr. John Nahas, who is the VP of Biz Dev over there at Ava Labs. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Paul. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. So first of all, let's get a little bit of an update of what's happening within Ava Labs and some of the bigger initiatives. Obviously, one of the biggest news items this year was the connection to Amazon and what that means for ease of launching blockchains. Tell me what you guys and where you guys are at this time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Paul. We're very excited about our partnership with Amazon, and it really highlights a lot of the work that Ava Labs has been focusing on this year. And that is really to bring blockchain technology to as many participants and users as possible. What you've seen previously in the past is blockchain has been this technology that a lot of people talk about, but there's a high barrier of entry. And we believe at Ava Labs, and what we're trying to enable is the easier use and deployment of blockchain technologies, particularly on the enterprise side, on the institutional side. Traditionally, these firms or established entities needed teams to build blockchains, integrate blockchains, maintain blockchains. And the work we're doing with Amazon really tries to speed that up, right? Amazon being one of the most prolific hypercompute platforms in the world allows for easy setup of nodes, deployments of custom blockchains, which we call subnets. So it's a great partnership that we've actually been very keen on, and they're really helping, right? So if you look at the way startups have traditionally utilized AWS, we believe that our partnership with Amazon and with AWS really allows companies to deploy blockchains just like they used to deploy their applications and their products on AWS.
Okay, so this is good news in the sense that Amazon is, I think, moving forward. Obviously, we saw some recent moves here with Amazon launching some NFT and some digital physical devices or toys, but it shows that this company is starting to move in this direction. When I had John Wu on not too long ago, we got into this whole idea of single click, of launching within it. Is that a reality now for what you guys have done with Amazon?
Absolutely. And Amazon's one of our trusted partners in this initiative. And it's something that we actually announced this week publicly, which we're calling Ava Cloud. So, if you think about the way that you're able to deploy cloud services in the past, you should be able to deploy blockchain services in the same easy way, right? So Ava Cloud is no code, one click deployment of your own blockchain. It allows any developer, any builder, any enterprise institution to spin up their own blockchain in a really fast period of time. Traditionally, as mentioned previously, you need teams and capital and a lot of work here. And what we're doing is taking away that decentralized system task away from in-house development teams and engineers and really taking that off the table. So you think about it really as blockchain as a managed service. It shouldn't be that difficult to deploy a blockchain, and a blockchain that fits your needs, your developer necessities, and the functions that you need. What we've seen historically with blockchains is that they've been a single blockchain, right? For the most part, monolithic chains, and applications, builders, enterprises had to fit their applications and their products into the chain or into the framework that currently exists. That's not really useful for all the myriad choices that people want to be building and all the applications that people want to be building and all the innovation that can really be happening in this space. So what Ava Cloud allows is for these builders and enterprises to deploy their own blockchain, whether it be permissioned or permissionless, set their own gas token, use the virtual machine of their choice. So really, it's a platform for them to deploy their product and their project first and foremost. We are the technology behind the scenes that enables their product to really grow.
All right, so in a short answer, this is yes. This is going to make it easy for Web2 and Web3 guys or Web2 guys to move to Web3. I want to get your theory on this, and I'm sure you're not privy to kind of Amazon's strategy, but I'm just kind of thinking in the essence of what you guys believe. If you look at Amazon Right now, I would say they are kind of a closed garden, even though we have not necessarily seen the potential of what NFTs and digital assets might do within the Amazon ecosystem. That may be something completely new. What is your thought? Do you think Amazon would be more of an interoperable retailer in the future? Because I think that's going to be a factor for organizations in the future in terms of value benefits.
So what the reports have been saying and what the news has shown is that they're building their own private blockchain that they're going to maintain, they're going to use within their own closed ecosystem. Regardless of whether it's going to remain that way, whether it could potentially become a public chain or public utility or have interoperability with other chains, I think it's still a fantastic move in the right direction.
Yeah.
They're opening up to new technology, they're innovating, they're teaching a lot of their users on what digital collectibles or NFTs are. And
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, a lot of what I think has been missing in this space is that education factor. And there's no better outlet than Amazon to really bring this new technology to the forefront to educate their millions of users globally.
Yeah, I don't know that, I look at it, from a business perspective, and I think I actually align a little bit with in the beginning, closed ecosystems are okay until the audience gets one more educated and obviously more aware of what's happening. And then the audience can start to kind of lobby for maybe more transportability and obviously, cross-chain compatibility, things like that, that I think most good retailers will respond to in the right way, because it's just an evolution of any kind of tech that I think we're moving forward. Explain subnets to me. For most of our audience, I mean, we kind of understand it, but I'm looking here at your stats on your subnets right now. Obviously, you guys, you have some of the big scenarios that are going on with Shrapnel. I'll just pull theirs up real quick. But each of these, now you've got this new dashboard. Explain to me how this works, why it's important, and how many subnets are going to be out there.
So, at a high level, the Avalanche network is a public permissionless blockchain network. Anyone can deploy any application they want on the public chain. The most common one being the C chain, which is our Ethereum virtual machine compatible chain.
Right.
What subnets are the ability for anybody, enterprise, developer, institution, to spin up their own blockchain. So it is their own blockchain. They can choose their own virtual machine, their own gas token, their own fee structure, their own validator nodes to set up and run their own blockchain. So this is ideal for any developer, as I mentioned previously, who has an application and needs an infrastructure to allow that application to come to maturity, rather than the opposite, which has been the case for such a long time. People have had to fit the application to the blockchain. This is allowing the blockchain to be that foundational layer for them to build upon it. So if you're a validator on the Avalanche blockchain, you put together a number of validators, you can launch your own chain using your own virtual machine, your own architecture that enables your application to grow. And we've seen growth here on the institutional front. Most recently with our Evergreen announcement, we have the participation of financial players such as T. Rowe and Wellington and Cumberland and many more, hopefully coming on board there. On the enterprise side, of course, you have companies that want their own sandbox to do their own things, whether it be loyalty or anything else, such as SK out of South Korea, one of the largest conglomerates out there. And then finally, games, right? So gaming is a huge growth potential for both us and for Web3 in general. And what we've traditionally seen is games have to compete for block space against DeFi applications and NFT projects and everything else that happens. Games need to have their own custom network. They have to have their own ecosystem that they can grow and build. And games have a ton of transactions and a lot of users, and they can't be encumbered by any other network congestion that might be happening at the time. And game developers are good at one thing that they're perfect at. It's developing games. They should not need to worry about fixing their game to match a blockchain. They shouldn't have to worry about all the other things happening on a blockchain. They just need the infrastructure and the tools to allow them to build the best game as possible that'll allow their game to succeed and thrive.
I think this is, these are the kind of things that will be hugely opportunistic, especially from a lot of the Web 2, because that's been, from a gaming standpoint, that's been one of the challenges is a lot of, Web 2 style gaming developers have been very, resident of not necessarily jumping into Web 3, not looking kind of the next generation, even though we're starting to see a lot more movement now. So I think that's the good news for it, from a subnet standpoint. I wanted to showcase Ava Cloud here for a second. We showed the website. If you guys, you can just visit over there, avacloud.io. But you guys put a tweet out. Obviously, you're proud to announce it. This is a no-code scenario. My question to you is, first of all, I think this is the way that we'll see Web2 companies kind of come into the space. The question is it working? Are you guys starting to see real adoption from Web2 with the ease of use that you kind of have outlined here with Ava Cloud?
Absolutely. And building on the previous point that I was making, and I think you made a great point here, Paul. Web 2 people want the ease of what they're used to in deploying applications.
Right.
And crypto people, for the longest time, focused on building crypto products for crypto users. It was a small group. It was very circular. It was very focused on the same group of users that are used to a certain way of doing things. For the vast majority of people in the world, for mass market use, for retail use, for all the things that this technology can really enable, we haven't seen that ease of use. We've seen a high bar of entry, a lack of education, and a lot of what I call crypto complexity that focuses more on the crypto aspect and the blockchain aspect than on what it enables, right? So we are seeing now a move to that enablement for Web2 companies, for traditional developers, to be able to build the applications of their choice. And Ava Cloud really is that. And I think what you're seeing, and the subnets that have deployed or have been publicly deployed now, show that range, whether it's enterprise or institutional or gaming, and all the other things that we have coming on, decentralized finance applications that need their own environment as well. These are separate things that are not connected if they don't need to be, but also could be connected if they want. So you start to see a network of blockchains emerge that have interoperability, that have connectivity, that can share liquidity when needed, but only based on the needs that they need, right? It's not jamming a square peg through a round hole, as we've seen. So we've seen a pretty large explosion of interest across the board. We've had a lot of interest for a while. We've come out with a few publicly so far. We have a lot more in the pipeline, and we're really excited now with Ava Cloud in particular to enable all the people that have always wanted to use a blockchain or could have used blockchain technology to enable their applications to really do so in a really easy way.
I think this is, when John and I have had this conversation for probably 18 months now, is that the companies that really do solve the solution for onboarding and the transition from Web 2 to Web 3, these are going to be the winners, in my opinion, going forward, because it's just going to make for a lot of adoption in terms of opportunity. I want to jump a little bit about Core Mobile. When you look at what you guys are doing with Core Mobile in general, I think I had a tweet right here. Yeah, here it is. Just the way it's over, Core Mobile. Now you guys are on iOS, providing crypto experience on the go. So first of all, for some of our users, maybe we've done a couple of videos on Core Mobile for those of you watching right now. Check those out, and also some of our Avalanche interviews. But explain to me kind of the value benefits for Core Mobile, at least from Ava Labs and Avalanche's standpoint, and what it can do for maybe the future of how crypto and blockchain start to integrate to mobile.
Yeah, absolutely. So traditionally, a lot of wallets have been pretty siloed. They focus on one network or only EVMs. What Core Mobile at a basic level is really like your command center for Web3. So you can transact with the Avalanche network. You can also connect and transact with the Ethereum network. And most recently, you can bridge to the Bitcoin network. So we've built in a swap function, so you can trade within the wallet. You don't need to go to a third-party website. But you can bridge your assets from Ethereum and Bitcoin over to Avalanche within the wallet and use it as a Bitcoin wallet. And most importantly, in my opinion, I think what it enables is for the easy use of subnets. And we built Core first and foremost to be that place where people can interact with subnets, because we couldn't be reliant on a third-party wallet to integrate one subnet at a time, or to take their time when we had subnets coming rather quickly. So you can start to see Core as a command center where you can do all of your Web3 transactions and swap between blockchain networks such as Ethereum, Avalanche, and Bitcoin, but also with all of our subnets. So if you look at when you're on a website browser, you're able to switch between websites. And we believe switching between blockchains and different networks should be just as easy as that. And you shouldn't have to worry about pulling down a menu and changing the RPCs and a million other things that no one will ever do. It's terrible UI, it's terrible UX. So
Yeah.
this enables Avalanche users, subnet users, whether it be a game or anyone else, to just directly go into the applications that they want and do them directly from the wallet. And then ultimately, this wallet and this technology can be used by a lot of our other enterprise, institutional, and gaming partners to be kind of the wallet front end that they use to interact with their users and with their communities.
I was looking, okay, so first of all, I think this is going to be critical because you're right. Getting a mobile device, or especially a mobile wallet, and the interactive capability of being able to do cross-chain is going to be very critical. We're starting to see other wallets start to go this direction as well. I mean, if you look at what's happening with Phantom and others, there are things moving in that direction. Obviously, Phantom, for those of you watching the show, Solana. We got into some of the research that you guys are doing in the gaming side. I want to shift over to gaming for a minute and show a little bit here. I just wanted to kind of ask your opinion on this. Obviously, this is just a white paper on the Avalanche Shrapnel component. One of the things that is interesting right here is the alternative solutions and why partners choose Avalanche. So you've got everybody out there in the Immutable or the Polygon ecosystem. And then you look at what Avalanche is talking about here. So the customizable, virtual machines, blockchains that leverage Avalanche consensus, flexibility for permission to permissionless, and then reliability. Okay, so I get that, for the most part. You guys are working a lot with devs and, onboarding companies in the tech space. What are they saying, though? Is it the same four kind of hits here, or do you find other elements that are better for them to jump to Avalanche?
It all boils down to one thing that we hear repeatedly from a lot of our partners, from a lot of people that are looking to build an Avalanche or are interested about Avalanche. And it goes back to the point that I mentioned earlier too, is Avalanche gives us the foundation to build what we need. It is the base level technology that enables what we want, and we don't have to fit our game and our tech stack into the existing order that exists in any of the other options, right? I think what both of those guys are doing is great. They're expanding the pie and bringing a lot of new users. But in the case of Immutable, it's one single chain. In the case of Polygon, with their supernets, which are a play on subnets, they're only EVM based and they're only permissioned, and there's no interoperability. What Avalanche allows with subnets is, again, a custom environment, right? You can choose whichever virtual machine might be best suited to fit your game. You can choose whatever token standard you want. You can choose any of these things. And then in the future, you can connect potentially to other games, to other sources of liquidity, to other partners, and really have a network of blockchains rather than just you have your own sovereign chain to run your application. But that chain doesn't have to live in a silo by itself. It could connect to other chains if and when needed. So we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that from the builders that say, this is the flexibility that we need to utilize blockchain technology as the underlying infrastructure for our development.
Okay, all right. So I would agree with that in the sense of, from the developer and the community side. Obviously, you look at the potential for the retail interface of how these things are going to eventually make it to mainstream, mainstream use case, but even more so mainstream applications that start to evolve into a variety of industries. One of the biggest things that we've always talked about here is the onboarding component. I was watching this video from Robbie over at Immutable, and they were rolling out some elements here. This whole list of things. They had access to 10 marketplaces, this whole frictionless purchase, the secure wallet, the mobile friendly, SDKs for fast integration. But the point is that they're starting to roll out some new feature sets now after their announcement with Polygon. How will Ava Labs respond to something like this? Because I think this is a good competitive element that could bring more projects like what you guys are doing, up to this level. What are you planning to do with that?
No, absolutely. And, congrats to that team. They're doing a lot of good work in this space and moving it forward, right? We're going to offer all these same exact things. I mean, a lot of the features that they're offering are commoditized for to an extent. Payment on and off ramps are easy to build in. We have that option. Wallets, we have that option. All the SDKs that you would need, explorers, et cetera, all the infrastructure needs are already there. And that's part of the Ava Cloud service as well. And Ava Studios will be there to help support builders on the Ava Cloud side, right? But at the end of the day, all of these great features, at least on the immutable side, all lead you back to a single chain where everything needs to fit the
Yeah,
architecture of that single chain. We have the same features, and we will have the same features, and probably more features because of just the diversity that we have in terms of the infrastructure parameters that you can set, right? So you can kind of feature flag the things that you want. Do you want to use this kind of wallet? Do you want to use that kind of payment mechanism? Different setups for different subnets will use
sure.
different benefits. So it all depends again on what the builder needs. We are there to provide them with all the resources, just like the immutables are and everybody else. All of these things are kind of the pipes that connect down to the foundation, and all those pipes come from most of the same sources. So we're working with all those same partners. But again, it all comes back to the foundation that you want to build and allowing the builder to do that on their own.
Yeah, I think it's going to be key for, they were talking about the no seed phrase, so easy sign in, those kind of features, which are more from adoptive nature, making it easier for users that aren't necessarily crypto friendly to be able to go into these things. Let's go into, because this is something also on the gaming side. You've got, Amazon launching, has Prime Gaming in the space. Most likely we're going to see a lot more integrations here. You obviously see Fortnite, League of Legends, etc. there. But in general, when you look at the industry from a gaming aspect, obviously with Avalanche Gaming, you guys are moving in this direction to a certain extent. What is your theory as to how these ecosystems will thrive, whether it is a Netflix or it's an Amazon or others out there that are going with real world live stream gaming? What are your thoughts on kind of the next generation of where you guys will be in this area?
So I think what you've seen from a lot of traditional gaming publishers is a little reticence to get into the Web3 space right away. And that goes back to, again, what I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
Crypto people build crypto things for crypto users. Gamers see crypto as a way to kind of get into gaming. And gamers, first and foremost, care about gaming. So the way we're going to get in, and I think the way that blockchain technology is going to change gaming, is by unlocking a lot of the functions that don't currently exist. If we are not bringing new value, if we're not unlocking trapped value that exists in these ecosystems and in these in-game economies, if we're not making the gaming experience better, and we believe we are doing that by providing a technology layer for these publishers to build new functions, I don't think there's really a benefit there. But thankfully, we're seeing a lot of adoption by the innovative guys to utilize this technology to create new functions, to make existing things better. And something I like to usually say is when you know that blockchain has arrived or succeeded, when you really don't know it's being used. I know that sounds like a little bit of a cliche, but it's true because we've always focused first on the blockchain aspect. And
right.
in terms of gaming, we just need to unlock and help these developers unlock a lot of new functions. So we're going to be enabling a lot of this when you don't even see it, right? When you don't
Yeah.
even know, when you don't even realize that certain aspects of the game and certain things that are being done are even being done on a blockchain. So that's kind of the future that I look forward to, and I think we're really starting to see now because there's been a shift in attitude and a shift in
Yes.
innovation to focus on the benefits here, the benefits
Yeah.
that this enables rather than focusing on it.
How long do you think that it would be before we see, a Web3 or NFT application usages in a platform like Amazon? We'll just go Amazon Gaming in this particular case. But Netflix is right behind them, I'm sure. What do you think the roadmap is for that right now?
I'd say probably by the end of this year, early next
Oh,
year.
really? That
I
early?
think you'll
Okay.
start to, well, at least at a POC or a test phase. I believe
Yeah.
you're going to start to see people roll things out that you might not even know that you're doing on a blockchain because the markets aren't the best right now, and the association with a lot of things that are quote unquote crypto native aren't the best right now. So I think you're going to see people test things out and see what the reception is by the
Mm-hmm.
user base, and they're
Yeah.
going to do so in a smaller, targeted way. See how it works, see what the reception is like, and then roll it out. And then maybe they'll highlight that it's built on blockchain, and maybe they won't. But at the end of the day, if the technology is being utilized for its intended purpose and actually bringing value, I don't think it matters.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the opportunity here that, from a marketplace standpoint, We put out a tweet not too long ago, kind of the future of OpenSea. This was a rendering of just showing some of the things that could, one day be involved in these marketplaces. Then I think about what Amazon's doing, how they've rolled out. We're starting to see the Phygital connection with the Pudgy Penguin launch, the fact that it went to #1, the likelihood of maybe seeing NFTs within the gaming ecosystem. Could we see something even further? I mean, I look at it like if you're a Prime movie, you can kind of go to your stuff and there's your movies, there's your avatar from Ready Player Me, there's your NFTs, there's your, all of your new digital assets, all of those kind of residing in one closet, so to speak, or, dashboard. Do you think that's a reality coming from mass retailers? Because this could happen across the full gambit. Walmart, obviously Amazon, we could see things in Netflix that could go to this level. Microsoft, obviously, with Xbox and gaming. What are your thoughts on how these titans will kind of take this on?
So I think I think what they're going to focus on first is crawling, walking, and then running. A lot of people last year, I think to the detriment of the industry, jumped in head first and wanted to do something big and splashy and an NFT drop, and they were trying to be cool, and it fell flat because frankly, it's not genuine. And users know when something is meaningful and when it's worth the technology that it's built on, or whether they're just trying to jump onto a trend.
Yeah.
What I think you'll start to see is little leaps forward across different enterprises for different use cases. Some might do it for loyalty, some might do it for ownership, some might do it for digital identity, right? So if you start to think of what someone like a Brave is doing, right? That's a browser that rewards you for your attention with a token. Well, if you start to think about manufacturers of TVs or cell phones or whatever it may be, they might start to reward you for the time you spend. They might capture that data rather than a third party capturing it. That data then belongs to you, and you can decide whether you want it to be sold or not, and you can be rewarded in fact for that. I think each one of these use cases, though, this boils back down to the how does it get there? And each one of these use cases needs its own chain, needs its own environment, needs its own parameterization for speed and throughput, and make sure it's low cost or maybe even no cost. So that's where we step in as well, and we hope to be that platform for that. But then they all need to connect. Again, this goes back to the thesis that everything will be multi-chain, whether they're Avalanche subnets or other chains or their own chains. Everything needs to be connected, just like the internet is connected, just like our traditional financial payment rails are connected, right? Nobody talks about how Venmo and Zelle and PayPal work, whether it's on Fedwire or SEPA or SWIFT or ACH. But there's a global financial system, right, that runs on separate pipes that has some level of interconnectability or connectability there. So we see that you might have the manufacturers of certain hardware have their own platforms. You might have the software developers. You might have the content providers, and it'll all start to kind of come together and allow for the sharing of data, the sharing of information. And where I think you will see this going is a lot of retailers and merchants currently connect with the customer using PII, personal identifiable information, right? So that's your name, that's your address, that's your credit card, that's your phone number, that's your email. And we see all these leaks. But what we could start to hopefully move towards, and I think we will see this, is people being recognized rather by their personal identity, but by a wallet address or a new address that they come up with. And you can use that address across multiple chains, multiple applications that aggregates your data and everything, but isn't tied back to you, the person, so that it's pseudo-anonymous to that extent. If there's a need, you can obviously prove that that's yours, but you shouldn't have to put in your email and your name and your address, et cetera, to connect to so many different things. I think we can start to move towards a world where that wallet address or that domain, call it, right, a Web3 domain, will be the place that connects you to the digital side as well as the physical side, and you can connect your identity, your value, share it, transact it, trade it across multiple platforms.
Yeah, for sure. I get a chance to talk to a lot of brands about this, and we do some consulting with brands who are trying to launch in Web3, the space. And to your point earlier, they hit on this, and that is that in the early, 18 months ago, it was a race to drop NFTs. People didn't really understand what Web3 was really doing. The other thing is we've had 18 months of development that has really changed the landscape of Web3. A lot more opportunity. If you look at digital ID, the movement there, we've seen obviously a lot of projects, including Ava Labs, with what you guys have done with easy onboard, cross-chain compatibility, all the things that you need in place. It's almost like the NFT component was a little bit too simple and too early, and brands went out with what they could. Now they're taking a much more, strategic approach toward rolling out their Web3 strategy. So it's good to see that for sure. John, it's been great having you on the show today. Thank you so much for stopping in. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Paul. It's been a pleasure.
You bet. All right. So listen, guys, if you're not part of our Diamond Circle, get in there now. It's one of the best places to kind of communicate with our own community. And we continue to build on that both in podcasts and additional content. So all you have to do is just click the link down below. You'll be able to join in. It's very simple, very easy. If you guys want to catch me, it's out there on Twitter, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.